Walk around.
All right.
Start down here.
Joe Biden.
Hi, Diane Owen, Russell from.
Well, how are you, Diane?
Excellent.
I'm so happy you're here.
I'm pleased to be here.
Jennifer the
See you again. How are you?
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Secretary?
Oh, pleasure to meet you.
How are you?
Happy to be here.
You're involved with you.
Like just a little bit.
Jennifer the Secretary of Solutions. Nice to meet you. Happy to see you again.
By the way, hire her now. You ought to start continuing. Good to see you. How are you?
Jim Howard, Lucky Mark. Hey, good to see you.
See you again. Great. Good to see you again, sir.
Okay. Long time no see. Good to see you.
Sorry.
Flipping chairs.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to Norfolk State University. We are so excited to have this opportunity to host this roundtable on cybersecurity, a very important topic, especially for all of us who have been alive over the past few weeks. So we feel that this is timely, and we are just excited to have you all here. It is my pleasure to kick off the roundtable by hearing from our Congressman, the Honorable Bobby C. Scott, who will give brief remarks.
Thank you, Dr. DeLoach, and thank you. It's great to be back at Norfolk State University for this very important announcement on cybersecurity. I'd like to welcome the Vice President back. There's no greater advocate for jobs and the importance of education, getting those jobs in the United States than the Vice President of the United States. So certainly a pleasure to see you. Secretary Moniz, it's good to see you back in Hampton Roads, and it's also great to see our governor, who gave a great State of the Commonwealth address last night where he emphasized the importance of higher education to jobs, and he's been going gangbusters and getting jobs for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Norfolk State, under the leadership of Dr. Eddie Moore, has, in other historically black colleges and universities, been preparing generations of leaders in business, government, academia, and the military, so it's no surprise to see the Vice President here announce the new initiative that they will now be preparing a new generation of leaders in cybersecurity. For years, Norfolk State has been a leader in educating and training cybersecurity professionals, and thanks to a talented and dedicated faculty and the leadership of Dr. Moore, NSU is already one of the Commonwealth's leading institutions in computer science and education. Just last fall, the State Council of Higher Education of Virginia granted approval to Norfolk State to begin offering a Master of Science degree in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity has emerged as one of the most important national security issues in the 21st century. Cyber threats can impact colleges and universities, national laboratories, power plants, military bases, major multinational corporations, as we've seen with recent cyber attacks on credit cards, Sony Pictures, even Central Command at the Department of Defense. These threats are real and constantly evolving, and perpetrators can be difficult to track and often are halfway around the world, and that's why cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing fields and why it is so essential that we have a well-educated and well-trained cybersecurity workforce ready to go to work. So I look forward to learning more about the new initiative and the role of Norfolk State and other HBCUs at today's roundtable. I'd like to introduce at this point as Nation's Secretary of Education, Dr. Education, Energy.
He's educating everybody.
He's educating everybody. He's very well educated. Prior to his appointment, he was a professor of physics and engineering at MIT under President Clinton. He was the associate director of science in the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and later served as undersecretary of the Department of Energy. Because of his distinguished career, he was confirmed unanimously by the United States Senate. Senate doesn't agree on much. They agreed on Dr. Munez. So it's fortunate. I was fortunate last February to tour with the Secretary, Hampton University, and Thomas Jefferson National Accelerator Facility. And so it is my privilege and honor to present the United States Secretary of Energy, Dr. Ernest Munez.
Thank you, Congressman Scott, and it is indeed good to be back in this area. As the Congressman said, we were up at our national laboratory, Jefferson Laboratory, just not so long ago. Great pleasure to be here with the Vice President, who, with the President, is really launching a very, very strong focus on cybersecurity. Great to be here with the Governor, who we last saw at the Richmond Sprint Cup NASCAR race.
That's right.
And so
You, me, and RG3 did the pace car together.
that's right. With RG3, but we keep that one quiet at the moment. And of course, with my good friend John Holdren, the President's science advisor, and all our friends here, our new friends at Norfolk State, because this is a great day for a program that I think is going to be terrific for the university, terrific for the other partners in the consortium, and terrific for the Department of Energy. I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to talk just from our needs about cybersecurity. We have an organization of more than 100,000 people. Got a lot of financial and personal information to protect. Almost 2/3 of our budget is national security. We have a lot of secrets to protect. Paul Holmert here is the director of one of those laboratories, Sandia, that will be providing jobs to all of your students. And we have a responsibility for the energy infrastructure. One of the greatest threats developing for our grid is cybersecurity, and the CEOs all know that. There's just tremendous pressure to get talented people in this area. And at the department, in addition, we have a strong focus on human capital development. That means we're going to have to get more women, more minorities into these programs. All of this comes together with this program. So it's really very, very exciting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the governor. I would note Governor McAuliffe, the 72nd governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I come from a Commonwealth, so I know that term. And I want to just say, Terry McAuliffe, as you all know, in his 1 year as governor, has just been laser focused on the economy and jobs. I believe breaking some records in this first year. Governor, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you all for joining me. I'm sure you all watched statewide television last night, watched my hour-long speech in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where I talked about we've created double the jobs in 1 year than any governor in the history of Virginia. But I spent a big part of that speech talking about cybersecurity in the future and what we need to do. I want to welcome the Vice President back again to Virginia. I want to thank the Vice President. I have had a friendship with the Vice President going back about 35 years. And I do want to thank him, and Dorothy and I have had a great relationship with the Vice President and Dr. Jill Biden. I do want you to know the Vice President's wife is one of my employees, and she works up at Northern Virginia Community College. And I did advocate, Mr. Vice President, for a 2% pay raise yesterday for our state employees, so I'm actually doing my part. But really appreciate the Vice President. Always, this is a huge historic announcement for us here at Norfolk State. I cannot tell you what a game changer it is for us, but you know, the Vice President is always thinking about Virginia. We were last together on September 24th. When he came down, we made a major Tiger grant announcement from DOT to open up our port and to open up so that our military at the largest naval base in the world can walk around. And I was so appreciative of his efforts then, and really thank the Vice President for coming back down here again to Virginia to help us build our new economy that I talk about constantly. I want to thank Norfolk State. They have been leaders. Virginia's a leader on cybersecurity. Norfolk State way out front on that, offering the master's degrees, which very few schools do on cybersecurity. At George Mason, as you know, in Northern Virginia, the only school in the country that offers an engineering, cyber engineering degree. So we're very serious here in Virginia about cyber. As you know, Executive Order number 8 that I started with my Secretary of Technology, Karen Jackson over there, Richard Clark, the former advisor of the last 3 presidents on counterterrorism, is now heading up our Cyber Commission here in Virginia. So we are putting all the assets that we need to, because we realize how important this is. We have more military installations than any other state. The largest naval base in the world is in Virginia. The Pentagon is in Virginia. The CIA is in Virginia. This is a big deal to us, and these are the jobs of the future. So let me now turn over to the Vice President. As you all know, I have been a huge, huge advocate of this administration. I have never shied away from supporting the President and the Vice President, because you know what? They have never shied away from helping us and helping this country. When you think where this nation was before they became President and Vice President, our economy was on the verge of going off a financial cliff, and what these 2 gentlemen, this administration, done has been astounding. Unemployment now down to 5.6. They have cut it in half. 10 million private sector jobs created. This man saved the auto industry in the United States of America. He loves manufacturing. He has been leading manufacturing, bringing those manufacturing jobs back from Asia to this country, because now with our low energy costs, we can compete with anybody. So I am just honored to welcome back to the greatest Commonwealth, the greatest state in America, the Vice President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Now you know why I like coming. Well, Gov, you really have done a great job in this first year. And look, this is, I want to make one overarching generic point to all the leaders of business and commerce that are here today. First of all, thank you for being here. You know, I've been doing this job in public life for a long time at a national level. And one of the things the governor and I share in common, I've never been more optimistic about the chances of the United States than I am today. And that's not hyperbole. I mean that. I got elected when I was a 29-year-old kid, and I was the young idealist and optimistic. I've never been this optimistic relative to the rest of the world and relative to ourselves. The opportunities are immense, absolutely immense. And we have the greatest research universities in the world. We have the most agile venture capitalists in the world. We have the best trained workforce in the world. It needs to be even better trained. We have a court system that you can adjudicate your contractual disputes, and it can be done fairly. We can protect intellectual property. All these reasons are why American businesses are coming home in large numbers, and why it's projected that the United States of America, by a margin larger than any time the survey is being kept by A.T. Kearney, shows that the 300 largest industrials of the world say the best place in the world to invest is the United States of America. So I really mean it. I mean, this is not, it's not, you know, chauvinism. We are better positioned. For example, as the President points out, with the grace of God, the goodwill of the neighbors, an awful lot of hard-working Americans, we created more jobs since the recession than all the other industrialized countries in the world combined. Here. And we got a lot more to do. And 2 of the things that we feel very strongly that we have to do generically are, we have to bring the entire population into this recovery. And this is a gigantic opportunity. It's also, we face, and what put a face on cybersecurity, I think, for an awful lot of Americans in a way that hadn't happened before, was the Sony hacking. It just made everybody realize, holy mackerel, this is a problem. Anybody who's had their identity stolen knows what it's about. Anybody who has their credit card has been compromised. Anybody, the list goes on. But now, in the last, just in the last 6 years, the premium on having the most professional cybersecurity workforce in the world has become apparent to everybody. It's almost like overnight. It's like discovering a whole new both problem and opportunity. And one of the reasons why we're happy to be here is the President of the United States said, quote, when he introduced our initiative, he said, the cyber threat to our country is one of the most serious economic and national security challenges that we face as a nation. cybersecurity on the international, on the national security front, is cyber espionage is a new weapon and tool, as potentially dangerous as a piece of ordnance, a bomb. I mean, it is staggering what potential vulnerabilities exist. But the good news is that we have basically been ahead of the curve of most of the rest of the world. We've focused a lot on it, but now we realize that the opportunities to provide the kind of long-term and constantly evolving professional capability is we have to move and create the programs, the opportunities, the vehicles for the brightest young Americans to be able to go into this field. And the fact of the matter is the demand for cybersecurity professionals is growing 12 times faster than the U.S. job market. And we're here, Doctor, at Norfolk State is not just because it is ahead of the curve, but because it's a historic black university. You're going to essentially lead a consortium of 12 other universities and colleges, because what we can't afford to happen, we can't afford to have a gigantic chunk of the population, women and minorities, left out of this opportunity. There's that Chinese proverb, women hold up half the sky. But guess what? They only are holding up about 20% of the computer sciences, and the capacity is equal to or exceeds the capacity of any other group of Americans. In the same way with African Americans, who have been historically not been engaged in the STEM fields. And so, you know, a information security analyst with a bachelor's degree, the average salary, and there's a lot of jobs out there, is $86,000 a year starting. You can live a middle-class life. These are the jobs that are going to give this generation, these kinds of jobs, many others I could speak to, but mostly here, are going to give people an opportunity to live a middle-class life. Be able to be in a position where if they choose to get married and have children, they can send their kids to college. They can own a home. They can live in a neighborhood where you can send your kid to a park and know they're going to come home safely. They can take care of their parents. They can, and maybe just be in a position to not ever have their children have to take care of them. That's basically a middle-class existence. And it has been more difficult to sustain, maintain, and create over the last decade or more. And so these are jobs in every sector, from business, maintaining email accounts, to retailers selling products online, to government agencies that exist in the security field that keep us safe, to just being able to turn on your water spigot and get water out. Because all of this has changed in the last 20, 30, 40 years. And it's all controlled by computers. It's all controlled, in the parlance of average Americans, is all controlled by elements that, in fact, you can get to now if you understand how to crack the code, crack the system. It used to be, if you wanted to do something bad to the water system, energy system, you had to plant a bomb on the bottom of a generator and blow it up. You don't have to do that now. You don't have to do that now. Theoretically, the whole grid could be shut down. All of Wall Street and the financial system could be thrown to chaos, et cetera. So this is important, but it's also important to Visa and MasterCard and the way we mostly live our lives. Most of you in the press are probably like me and everyone else. You used to go deposit your check at the bank, and then you'd go and you'd write a check and get checks. Now you use your smartphone. You transfer your accounts, you pay bills. Well, guess what? A heck of a lot easier for really bright people to figure out how to crack your smartphone. And so these are, it's across the board, this need. And the jobs are there, but so is the talent. So is the talent. I used to have a friend who was a great athlete, great basketball player back in the 60s, played on with Reardon and Walker and some really great ball players that none of you students would remember. His name was Pete McLaughlin, and Pete used to say, you got to know how to know. And, you know, you can walk in the Library of Congress and all that information is there, but you don't know how to access a card catalog, it's not much value. You got to know how to get to the information. And part of what we're looking for Norfolk State University to lead this effort on, and one of the high schools associated here as well, is for beginning at the elementary and secondary school level for people to become acculturated that these are jobs. This is the new steel mill writ large. This is the new manufacturing. This is the new vehicle that you should be aware of and be able to get some direction as to where you have to go to get the education you need to get, what type of background do you have to have, how well do you have to do, et cetera. And so, according to a survey, only 18% of our country's young people have ever heard about cybersecurity as a career option. I mean, in a sense, it's not surprising. It's pretty new. It's pretty new. And they don't hear from their guidance counselors. They don't hear from their high school teachers. And, you know, the problem is particularly acute in minority communities. About only 3,000 of the 3.3 million students who are presently studying computer science advanced placement, who took the computer science advanced placement test last year, only 3,000 out of the 3.6 million were African Americans. 3,000 out of 3.6 million. That's why we're here at Norfolk State. That's why we're here, and we're focusing on historic black colleges and universities, because we need to do more to build interest in the field of cybersecurity, and we need to do more to make sure minority students benefit from these opportunities. And working with Norfolk State, we've formed a consortium that will give students across campuses, both 2-year and 4-year schools, give them the talent, give talented students a chance to experience this field. I'm not going to go in great detail to you of all 13 schools in this consortium or the high school, but today we're announcing a $25 million funding over a 5-year period to this consortium to support the work that you're already started and doing right here. Among the possibilities for this funding are updated computer labs at these universities and colleges, remote teaching and research to reach students on other campuses, so we can use the very technology we're talking about protecting to get economies of scale. Internships. I noticed that the Secretary just had you, Director, agree to hire everyone out of this program. But, you know, there's a lot of great national lab. I've often said, and I mean this sincerely, the single greatest, best kept secret, the greatest asset the American people have may be our national laboratories here in Virginia and across America. And I mean that sincerely. These are the brightest, the most informed, the most cutting edge people in science and technology in the world. And so, but there are great internships. For example, what's going to happen here, I got a chance, thanks for letting me, all of us talk to some of your students, including the young woman I'm going to reference in a minute. There are enormous opportunities, but there's what we found across the board in any job, an internship is the best way, is a guarantee to move toward a job. And be able to work with some of the brightest people in the world at our national laboratories is an incredible opportunity. We already exist, but we're expanding. We're expanding. And we view this $25 million as, over the next 5 years, as just begin to put together these consortia. It's not going to happen overnight. This is all of a sudden, we're not going to have 13 universities. Well, we got it all worked out. It's exactly what we're going to do, because you have to have the right professors, the right curricula, the right laboratory capability, et cetera. But that's what we're about, and we're about building. Among the possibilities for this funding, I told you, are the areas I mentioned, but including, as I said, access to internships at our laboratories. And Doctor, I want to thank you again for having us here, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you and how we can work to build on the successes you've already, on your own, done a great deal to generate. And I'm also interested in hearing, I mean this sincerely, all the private sector partners we have here today. I mean, this is we have some heavyweight outfits here. These are the economic engines and the leaders in America in the private sector. Heather, I want to hear from you about the common themes and challenges you hear from the different industries you assist through your operation, and you hear them. I mean, you service a fairly wide array here. And Andrew, it's interesting. The word's already out about you, because upstairs I asked several of the students we got to meet about, what, 15, 20 students in that range?
Yes.
And they said, well, I asked one what they want to do. They said, well, I want to go to work for an outfit like Visa. I mean, because they really need what we're doing. And one student, who I will not name now, showed me how this is how they can pack into the, So there's, and Diane, for the work you've done at, Northrop Grumman is one of our leading edge firm in the world, not just in the United States, and you're actually reaching down the high school level, elementary school. Well, I want to hear a little about that in terms of promoting STEM education, and Paul, your exercises like Tracer Fire and others, generating the next generation of cyber professionals. And Kayla and Danielle really are the stars of the operation here, though. They're both students here, and I want to hear a little bit, and this will be a wide open ranging conversation. I'm told they're going to kick the press out. I don't know about that, so you can all say whatever you want to say. But, we need you guys, by the way. You're more important than anybody getting the word out that this is an absolutely burgeoning field. It has enormous potential for any student from any neighborhood, from any school, if they just are aware of what the opportunities are. And so, but I'm looking forward to an open discussion here. And so when I get back, we've done, and some of you helped. Lockheed has helped, and Northrop Grumman has helped me when I was putting together the jobs report for the president, how we have the best trained technical workforce in the world. So you already in. You guys are full in on this already, but this is about opportunity. But in this case, this is a if you excuse me for saying this, but it's also a way to serve your country, as that can protect our assets in many cases as much as some of the physical apparatus we have to do that. So I want to thank the press for being here. We'll give a much more detailed packet to all of you on exactly how this consortium is functioning and how it's designed to work. But again, we are not thinking in terms of just 13 universities and colleges. One of the things the state governments are usually best at implementing almost everything. One of the things the federal government can do the best is find the right model and make it available across the country, like we saw what happened with community colleges. So that's what we're looking at here, and I'm anxious to get the conversation going. I'll yield the staff to tell me what's going on next here.